All right, hello family. We are in the property. I just spent a minute getting all the lights on, starting most of the appliances. The inspector Nate is here. He is working his process, starting in the back, and he'll work his way to the front. And then we have another agent here who's just letting us into the property. So we are at the back, and we had talked a little bit about the parking lot, numbers 1 through 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. We need to figure out which space is ours. There's that alley where I was at. Gate's still open. We should ask about that. These railings are, not too bad. It looks like someone shored them up a little bit, but, probably in the next 5-10 years, they might need a little more love. This is what I was talking about as far as having to re-brace things the proper way. And then down here, you can see how they marry the wood together and then bolt it. So those were city codes that happened a while ago. This portion of the deck, as you come upstairs, your neighbors will be using this back part. So you have to kind of keep this clear. You can use this space, but the walking space to go back upstairs, you'll have to keep clear. There's your door. You have a window directly into your kitchen with a giant screen on it. Actually, that's really nice. I didn't notice that. It's a shutter. Oh, this is a heavy duty screen. That's really nice upgrade right there. Then you have the steel door with glass, again, very firm. And then everything looks pretty good out here. Oh, even more, and they have 2 more. Those are really nice. These are really, really nice. So let's keep moving here. You can see how some of these are a little bent. The wood's a little warped. It's not the end of the world. They'll have to replace a few pieces as they go along. That's kind of part of the thing of being a homeowner. Usually the association will do these things, and it's typically as part of one project. The deck itself doesn't feel uneven or anything like that. It feels extremely sturdy. And yeah, you're looking at about 8 feet across. Then you probably have another 8 feet easily that you could furnish, as long as you keep this walkway here in front of the stairs open. The brickwork looks good. Someone pointed that. Let me just peek my head over the edge real quick, even though I'm afraid of heights. This feels very sturdy and firm. And there's our alley. Some power lines going along the edges. There's your dumpster. You can just throw your garbage down. Kidding, don't do that. Again, nice. These are really nice. I've never seen those before. And they're attached from the inside, it looks like. So you wouldn't be able to break in the window. I'm guessing there's some security feature to it. So you do have 2 locks here, a deadbolt on the top, and your regular thing on the bottom. And then on the interior door, you have another deadbolt on the top, and then your regular thing on the bottom. So you can see how you can't even tell those things are on the outside. It's really cool. So the inspector's gonna open all these windows and test them all. I can't do it with one hand at the same time. So these ones are a little bit heavier duty back here. I feel like a heavy duty aluminum or something of the like. But they all feel, I'm guessing, newer. So again, there's our dining room right here. This space does have a sort of partition separator. I'm guessing this is where the furnace or something kicks out. Here. I don't see a furnace outlet, so I'm not sure what that was. Maybe an old where the old wall was. But have a nice new light fixture here. Over here there's a remote control for it, right? So this remote control right here is going to control this light fixture up here, so light and fan, and then there might be a main one that goes to it. The security system is a Honeywell. If you want to use your security system, you can call a company when you first move in and set that up. They range anywhere from $30 to hundreds of dollars a month, just depending on what you want. This particular room, the dining, living room, whatever you want to call this, the family room, we do have a number of outlets. So we have and one in the hallway here, but we have 1 outlet here, 1 outlet, as well as a telephone jack. You do have a coax cable that's coming out from here. So I'm guessing we're gonna go into that bedroom, we're gonna follow that cable backwards. We do have another outlet here, and then there's another outlet over on this side. So you have 1, 2, 3 power outlets, 4 power outlets, and a telephone jack. And then we're gonna look back over here into the kitchen. Obviously, that lighting up there makes a huge difference. It's really, really nice. The fridge looks a little bit wider this way. If you ever replace that, you might want to get one that's a little bit narrower and taller. And if you ever wanted to, I have a company of guys that will come in and they could redo all these cabinets, for as cheap as like $3,500, $4,500. They basically come in, they take all the doors off, sand them, prime them, paint them, and then put them all back on new hardware. It looks brand new. The cabinet, the countertops are from Mica, I think. Let me just double check. Oh no, it's stone, granite. But if you ever wanted to lighten that up and change that, you know, those are small pieces, so easily under $1,000 you could swap out your countertops. The appliances look fairly original, although that stove looks newer, or the refrigerator looks newer, but these guys look fairly original. Oh no, that's an LG too. LG, Frigidaire. So these two are original, and then the microwave and the Samsung. So this guy was replaced at some point. You can see, open it up real quick here for you. You have double doors, freezer on the left-hand side, and it has an ice maker or ice crusher. All very clean, very nice, good shape. You have the cute little countertop over here, you know, probably all your miscellaneous stuff that you end up using. And then the floors themselves are in good shape, but like I talked about, we could always sand these and restain these, ideally when you redo the place. Okay, we're gonna keep on going on right here. So as we go into the hallway, we have our furnace and our hot water tank. These are newer. All this will be in his report and, you know, ages and stuff like that, and his recommendations. But nothing sticks out here too obviously. You have a nice vinyl floor. It looks like it drains out onto a drain, which is the right way to go. It's probably right underneath here. The air conditioning's on right now. It feels nice and cool in here. All these pipes look in good shape. I don't see any signs that there was ever water from upstairs that leaked down, so your neighbors haven't had any issues. And to me, all this looks in good shape. All right, so then we're gonna go into this left room. This is one of the two bedrooms. Before I go in, you're gonna see there's a hallway light switch here, and then you have your electrical panel. So the inspector will take this off, take a photo. He'll make sure all the breakers are, you know, done up right and stuff like that. But these all look good. Everything's labeled nicely. You do have a couple extra slots if needed. But that looks decent. This little thing here is a motion sensor. It's part of the security system. And then you have a CO2 detector and a smoke detector. So this bedroom is carpet. Carpet is in good shape. You know, you have a little bit of wear right here, but nothing significant. Most of that is just the pill of the carpet and how it goes. So I opened both closets. You can see it opens all the way through, it goes to the top. You have a light switch there in the center. Actually, I should turn that on for you. There we go. Let there be light. So everything looks good in there. Even the insides are painted nicely from probably the original. I think it's a single lady who lives here. So that's missing a globe. There's supposed to be a little globe light on it. $15 from Home Depot. You can do it yourself. There's that same fan that was up in the dining room. So where's the remote? There's your remote right there. In this room, we have, again, electrical outlets on every wall. So an electrical and a telephone line on this wall. So there must be a central telephone line system in this building. There's that wire that came in. So they ran their cable. Nowadays, you don't have to do this anymore because of wireless TVs and all that good stuff. But, you know, usually if you have regular cable. So that's coming from way over here. And it looks like it's coming from there. So they ran it from there all the way out into the dining room. Most likely because they didn't want to drill through the wall. But 1, 2, 3 outlets, another coax, and a telephone line. Continuing outward, we have our bathroom here. This is that slate tile. Not a huge fan. Slight lip right here. This stuff is a real pain in the ass to get up and get off. Usually what they'll do is they'll actually just cut the drywall completely out of all this stuff and then replace it with new green board. You know, at some point you should do that. You know, no one really liked this overall. So subway tile would be nice, and I'd like to see it go to the ceiling. You know, the jacuzzi tub is nice. Truth be told, no one really uses it. We're not going to be able to test that thing. I don't have a plug to plug it up. I'll see if I can find something to do that, but we're going to try and turn it on. Usually what happens is black particles come flying out of here because no one ever uses these, and you're supposed to run like Clorox bleach through it. So ultimately for resale, I mean, it's usually better if you can just replace this whole damn thing with a shower. But if we don't have another tub, you got to think, you know, usually someone with a kid is going to want to have a tub. So either putting a normal tub in here and then a full shower in the master, or whichever you choose to do. If you want to make this the master and then make the other one the second, then keep a bathtub in the second. So we have the vanity. Looks like you have some newer water lines in there. This is all in pretty good shape. A little bit crooked, right? So that's just the building. It's a 1920s, 1930s building, so it's going to have some certain bowing to it. Nothing significant or to worry about. It's all normal. You have your vanity here, the toilet. Notice there's a slight little slow trickle. Probably needs this looks like old, so I would probably replace this guy again. Home Depot, $15. You can do that yourself, and they break all the time, so you got to learn how to do those things. Light switches. Vanity light switch. This is a GFCI outlet, ground fault insulated, something like that. Basically, it means if you had an appliance in this, you dropped it in the sink, the outlet would automatically shut off, so no one got electrocuted. And then you have this little space over here where your little 2 towel racks, maybe putting in a nice heated towel rack, and maybe like a shelving unit of some kind, because you really have no linen space in here. Oh, right to the next side, we have our washer dryer. I'm testing that right now. You do have a drain right there. It doesn't appear that there's ever been any water here, which is great. It is gas, so you're gonna have to set up your gas with People's Gas. I'll send you all that information as we get closer. But that is the vent. It vents outside. At least once a year, you should have a company come through and clean that vent out. Usually, if you can coordinate with your neighbors, it's only a couple $100. But a lot of dryer vent stuff, or lint from dryers, will build up in there and it can cause fire. So it's something you might want to take care of. So all this seems to be working fine. We have our hallway coat closet. Everything's pretty normal in here. There's no light in this one. You might want to get one of those from like Menards or Home Depot. You just kind of tap on it. As I look up, so I do see this is the vent, right? So all of your heating and cooling is coming from that furnace right here. Your air conditioner is up on the roof. Your heating unit is right here. So it's blowing the air up into this central area, which is why we have a little bit of a lip, and it's pushing it out into the bedrooms, into the hallway here, and then it's pushing it all the way to the end. That's what this is. This is your vent duct, and it's pushing it out those ends, okay? So anything on the top is gonna be the air, the hot air or cold air coming out, and anything usually on the bottom, if you see it, is a cold air return. In this particular case, the cold air return is right here in the center. Sometimes there's no vent up there, but you can have this whole thing cleaned. You can see there's a vent up there. That's the hot air coming out from that top. But you should have these cleaned once every 5-10 years. They'll come through, and it's like $500,000. It's a great way to get rid of dust. It's one of the downsides to having forced air is that you end up having all this this dust flying around. So in here we have the fan. It's making a little funky noise. I would replace this thing. It's cute and unique and everything, but I think ultimately, replacing that is the way to go. These windows are all the same as the other ones, a higher end aluminum. So these are probably like mid-2000s, maybe even earlier. All seems to be in good shape. The inspector will check them all to make sure the seals are functional. So you can see right here, it's a little bubbly. So probably in like a few years, that seal on the inside might give. And what'll happen is you'll notice a little fogging happening on the inside. When that happens, send me an email. I'll give you my information for the company that I use. They'll come out and they'll pull that one piece of glass out, right? So they'll take the window out. They'll remove this little piece here, this strip. They'll remove the pane of glass, clean it. They'll put new nitrogen gas inside of it and then put a new seal on it. Usually it's about $100. In here we have a really good space. You can almost do a second dining space. This furniture is rather large, and my video does not back out enough. But I think you could almost do like a little table and chairs over here or a desk area over here. You do have another telephone jack and a power outlet. I'm guessing there's one back there, but I'll check in a second. Really bright, isn't that great? So you got plenty of space here. TV, another sofa. There is, one power outlet right back here. One on this wall over here. And then another power outlet back here behind the sofa right here. This is a coax cable, so that's your TV cable coming into the unit. And they've just run well, in this particular case, that cable is running over to this box. So they use Xfinity, and that would be their internet provider. So the internet data is coming in through that line to the coax cable. It's going into the Wi-Fi router modem thing, and then it's giving you Wi-Fi access. So in this particular case, Wi-Fi is running probably these cameras right here. So all these cameras are wireless. You can see the little antenna top on them. They're all hooked up to the internet. So without those, without the internet, those wouldn't work. Those do not come with the unit. Those are probably the sellers, and they'll transfer with her. So we saw one here, one in back. That's not part of that security system on the wall that I showed you in the kitchen. That's a separate system. That one also usually can come with little sliders on the windows. I think I saw one in the kitchen and back. I'll send it back to you, but there's little sensors where if a window opens, it'll chime and it'll let you know. There's sensors for heat, there's sensors for motion, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you can get them from pretty much anything. So here is your thermostat. It's a manual thermostat, Brayburn. I'm not really sure what brand that is. That's interesting. So this is old school. These are literally bolts, and this is where you would put a 2x4 across the door. It's kind of what we do back in the, oh, there it is. Actually, they have a 2x6. So that 2x6 would just put up on top there, and it would prevent people from breaking the door down a little bit easier, right? So these doors are only affixed by these hinges right here. You have 1, 2, 3 hinges. Each of these hinges is only held into that frame by 3 or sometimes 4. Usually the screws are only about 1 inch or 2 long. Typically, you'll have recommendations from people telling you to replace all the screws with a minimum 4-inch screws and sometimes longer in order to secure the door better. But basically what it means is if someone wanted to kick this door down, it wouldn't be too difficult. So whoever lived here at one point decided a safer option would be to install these. These bolts right here are probably a good 4 inches long, and they're going into the studs, right? So it's not part of the frame, it's actually part of the studs, part of the building. So it would take a hell of a lot more to kick that door down with that in place. So let's run into the bedroom really quick here, and we'll do one more look. This one's carpet as well. You know, there might be hardwood under here. These units would have probably all been hardwood. There's no telling what condition it would be in, but a lot of people prefer carpet in bedrooms just because it's a little bit warmer. Here we go again, large windows, all brand newer. I'm not, you say brand new, but newer. The higher end aluminum steel. One thing I did notice here is you have a little bit of, I don't know if you want to call it efflorescence, but you have some of the paint peeling up along the edges, right? This moisture is typically seen when it transitions from winter to fall. So you'll notice that if you keep these blinds shut all the time and you keep your curtains shut and there's no air to touch that window, you'll notice that condensation will build up on the inside. You'll get a ton of moisture and it'll freeze because the window's freezing cold. So you'll have all this ice build up, and then when it gets a little bit warmer, all that water is gonna melt and it just drips down really slowly, and then it pools right here. And then it just sits there and it makes what this happens, right? There's nothing wrong here. It's not wet. It's not anything wrong. It's just condensation built up and it wasn't removed. Why does that happen? Because they left all this down. So all these things in the wintertime really should be left up and open. You want airflow on those windows because without the airflow, you're gonna get the condensation. So be warned. So over here we have two more furnace outputs. So again, that thing is coming all the way down through here, probably on the outside of this wall, and then it's kicking air out. I can feel it. It feels really good and cool. And there's that same fan, right? You'd think they'd want a bigger fan in here. And they have a remote for that fan. So real quick, we're gonna talk about the lighting situation. There's the immediate light switches. Down here on the bottom, you have an outlet on, again, all 3 walls, which is awesome, right? Outlet, and then outlet over here. You have a coax cable here, so if you wanted a TV in this room and you didn't want to have it Wi-Fi, you could do that. There is a little bit of what looks like pulling here, right? So this happens for a variety of reasons, most likely because the building moves. So as it heats and expands, or cools and contracts, the building will do the same. And oftentimes you'll notice cracks in walls, or you'll notice different things happening like that spacing. A lot of times we'll use what's called painter's caulk. It's like a wood-based caulk that you can fill those things up and paint them over. But ultimately they'll keep happening again and again. So here we are again with this slate tile. I would really like this removed. If you use this as your master bedroom, I would say, you know, having the walk-in shower here would be more beneficial. It would probably be cheaper to do it in here just because it's a smaller space, less area to tile. And then, you know, the sink is awful. I mean, it's just kind of there. I prefer something a little bit more open and freestanding. Maybe one of those new ones that are floating, right? Because these ones kind of tend to hide when there's issues. Is that an issue? No, it's just a little bit of water dribbling down. You know, you're brushing your teeth and you get a little bit of splatter, and that's all this is right here, right? So some, you know, toothbrush or whatever sitting right here, water pools up, and just over time, it just sort of sucks in, and you can see how they they put some new caulk in there. That's really good. That's what you're supposed to do, right? So every year you should go through, look at these things. You should re-caulk that space. You should re-caulk your tub between here and here. These are where the leaks are gonna happen. So if it gets moldy, make sure you clean it. Don't use Clorox, use vinegar, white vinegar. And be aware, you know, water is going to come down here and it'll dribble. So if you're going to have any issues with mold or rotting, your first place is going to see it is right here. So make sure that you keep this area dry, you know, and do your best to re-caulk this, because if water drips down and it goes into the area here that's not caulked, it could eventually pool below the floor and cause an issue for your neighbors. So, you know, one way or another, these things surface. So take care to do those things. So I think for now we've covered pretty much everything in the house. The inspector is going to send you his report. It'll come in an email. I'll give you my thoughts. I really don't see anything to give me any concern. I think most of the things I've talked about for you are just things that you're going to need to do yourself. Again, you're missing a globe there. We'll talk a little bit about that later. But again, these are little tiny things. You know, most people could do them by themselves. Great light if you're facing north. You know, the other good thing about facing north, is that you don't get direct sunlight. So it's a little bit easier to keep the unit cooler. And in the winter, it's a little bit easier to keep it warmer. So your utility bills tend to be a touch lower than a building that faces south directly, because you're getting hit with sunlight all day and all night, or all day, all year round for the most part. So even in the winter, you know, you feel like you're boiling in a unit, and you have to open your windows. All right. That's it.